Hello and welcome, my beautiful souls. So today's video is about monadic twins. However, it really applies to all of us on this planet and beyond. Excuse me as the video is shaking, or the screen is shaking a little bit, because I have this laptop on my lap, because it's a laptop, and I am outside with my beautiful mama next to me as I'm recording this. Beautiful trees in the background. This applies to everyone because we all have chosen a unique divine blueprint before we were even born. So your divine blueprint is going to determine what types of experiences you have chosen that will ultimately allow you to remember who you are, to come back to the remembrance, come back to your heart. And some of those challenges are they're going to be different than others. This is why it's so important not to compare your life, with someone else's life. To think that somebody else has a better life, they have a better relationship, they're in union. Specifically, if you are on a twin flame journey, you have met your twin flame, and you just know. I'm speaking specifically to monadic twins. Again, this is helpful for many of you. I'm speaking specifically to monadic twins because there is a distinction in terms of the type of journey that a monadic twin flame has chosen. I don't want to say as opposed to, because it's not versus, it's not in opposition. It's just different, a different choice point of entry into this physical 3D reality. So there is a difference and a distinction with monadic twins and split soul twins. So there are two basic types. We could break it down even more, but two basic types of twin flames on a twin flame journey: monadic twins and split soul twins. I'm going to share now. Again, I've read so much about this. I've experienced a lot of this. And so, with that said, I want to share that this is my perspective on it at this point in my journey. And if it resonates with you, great. And if it doesn't, that's okay. So just take what resonates. And if it doesn't, maybe to just give it some time, for thought, and to like step back and think about, is that a possibility? Okay. So I don't want to say monadic versus split soul, because all journeys are really important to helping all of us to ascend back into remembrance of who we are, back into that oneness, back to remembering that we are from one source, one God source, and so on. Every role is important. I cannot specify that enough. Clarify? I don't know if that was the exact word, but anyway. Okay, let me look at my notes here. So I would like to discuss the distinctions with monadic and split soul twins. Really important, especially for monadic twins. If you're like me and you see all these twins who are in union, they haven't had no contact, or they've had lots of contact and communication with their twin flame. And anyways, yeah, let me get into that. Like, what are the distinctions? What are the signs and indications that you yourself may be a monadic twin? And what is perhaps the process or the journey that you may have chosen before you even incarnated into this reality that that makes it a monadic journey? Okay, number one, monadic twins are actually have incarnated at a much higher dimension, into the physical material world, 12D, so the 12th dimension. And you may hear other things with that. I think the key point is that monadic twins have incarnated closer to source. So you've got source, and then you have the split into two souls, but they're so close to the original split that there is a very common frequency in connection. Then you have split souls who have incarnated into the physical reality at lower dimensions, maybe the 5th dimension, the 4th dimension. And so there isn't the same level of awareness or consciousness. And so let me go back to that monadic twin. Having incarnated at the 12th dimension, at higher dimensions. They're coming in with a higher level of consciousness. Many are already in inner union because of that. They've already done lifetimes and lifetimes of working through and dismantling some of the lower vibrational conditioning and societal limitations. Many lifetimes on Earth. Those with a split soul, again, they're not inferior or superior. It doesn't mean their role is not as important. It's just a different choice, a different way, a different angle, a different dimension to come into to help that ascension process just in a different way. That's a key point. And there are a lot of overlaps. I will share some information about monadic that it also applies to split soul. So I want to make that very clear. So again, the monadic twins are coming in at a higher dimension into the physical reality, already with lots of lifetimes on this earth. The split souls often have had fewer lifetimes. Though there's two parts to that. So because there's been so many lifetimes on this planet and earth with the monadic twins, it means they've had more time to accumulate more, you could say, limitation, distortions from their truth. And so there can be more that is needing to dismantle and work through in order to come into that remembrance of unconditional love and the remembrance of their truth and of that oneness with God Source. Doesn't mean they both don't have their challenges in different ways. So the split soul, fewer lifetimes, yet with that, because there are fewer lifetimes on the earth plane, there isn't as much experience and there may not be as much distortion, but there can be a greater level of distortion because of perhaps that lack of experience on the earth plane. Doesn't mean there's not experience in other planes. And ultimately, if we are all one, then I am you living that experience in your lifetime in another reality, and you're me living your experience in another reality as me. So that's, I think, one of the most important distinctions. That's why no journey is more important or less important, more superior or inferior than any other journey. Okay? However, it is important to understand if you chose to be a monadic twin in this reality, it is important to commune with others who understand that journey, because I'll explain a little bit more as we move along here. So let's get into it. Number 2, monadic twins have chosen extreme challenges. So have split soul twins. A lot of us on this earth plane, just being born in the earth plane, have chosen extreme challenges. Monadic twins, however, because of the where they have incarnated from, and because of their higher dimensional or their higher levels of consciousness, they harbor more light. They're able to sustain more light. And so the dark, the collective ego is able to see them more readily. And the ego wants to survive. The ego is from the ego that's not in check, because the ego is what we need to live in the 3D. The egoic parts of ourselves, of each of us, that wants to be able to control us, that false sense of empowerment, is going to do what it can to make sure we're not able to share our light, to shed our light and allow us to ascend. So there can be heavy amounts of targeting, lots of interference for those who are shining more light. We all have that light within us, by the way. Another important distinction. And it is a matter of reigniting that light, letting go of the distortions that are not allowing our light to truly, truly shine and to truly, truly be seen. Okay. The monadic twin is often also has a global mission. Many split soul twins do too. I'm not saying other people don't have a global mission. Yet the twin flames are often, the monadic twins are doing planetary grid work. They are often guided, divinely guided, intuitively guided to travel to many parts of the world to anchor in light. To first of all, actually, if you're like me, to help dismantle the distortions within the planetary grid, the false matrix, to help break that down, to help cleanse and purify Mother Earth, and to purify those inverted, perverted distortions templates, those polarized templates that are meant to try to keep us down and not remember who we truly are with the sacredness, the sacred sexuality, the divine relationship of unconditional love. And the more that we as a collective remember that truth and rise in that truth, the more the collective shadow within each of us is going to want to stay alive. Like a kid who has a temper tantrum at 2 because they can't get what they want. That is what to me is happening on this world stage, is that the egoic attachment, again, the ego is a good thing. We need it to live in the 3-dimensional reality. The egoic that has attachment with intentions of controlling is wanting to stay alive. And it will try to do that within each and every one of us, as well as on the world stage. Okay, so with this global mission, and if you're doing planetary grid work, many of you are doing planetary grid work, whether you are a Monadic Twin Flame, Spilt Soul Twin, or twin or otherwise, many of us are doing planetary grid work. We may not be aware of it. We're all helping with this. Let me look at my notes. So as we help to do this, we're not necessarily receiving direct payment for this service. It's working behind the scenes and invisible. We're working with the energy, because ultimately it is about the energy. It's energetic alignment. And energy, everything has consciousness. The tree behind me, the chair I'm sitting in, my earrings, robots have consciousness. AI has consciousness. All of it has consciousness. All of it has been created from the God source. God has been outwardly expressed into our reality in other realities and dimensions. Okay, so these extreme challenges are also opportunities for amplified alchemical transformation, really allowing us to go deep, deep down. And pain is a great motivator, a great catalyst for allowing us to raise and elevate higher than ever. And as we raise our frequency, we allow others to tune into that similar frequency. So with tuning forks, one tuning fork tunes into the tuning fork that has a higher vibration. So just by doing your inner work, by letting go of the distortions of limiting beliefs, limiting thoughts, allows you to literally tune in and tune up, and allows others to tune up their frequency as well. And that's how we ultimately all ascend. Okay. So yes, we're letting go of old systems that are not working for all of us. So those symptoms, yeah, those systems of enslavement, manipulation, coercion, where it's all about me, and not anybody else. So think of hierarchical systems, our governmental systems, our financial systems, that have to do with competition and taking care of yourself at the expense of others. So it's important to take care of yourself. So there's a distinction. But when you do that at the expense of others and not caring about others, that is the ego coming in, or the part of our collective shadow that wants to control rather than empower. And so we are anchoring in restoring the original divine templates of sacredness that has to do with love, unconditional love for one another, to others, of service, living our truth, doing what we love, that is passion, that is also in harmony with others. It is not enslaving or suppressing one's truth. It is empowering one to live in their authentic truth. It's restoring those systems. Financial too. Did I mention that? Financial, educational, and cooperative. It's about cooperation, not competition. And a lot of your business models have to do with competition, or a formula. Okay, I can get you to make $6,000 in 6 days, or I can get you to have 5 clients in a month. That is a formula, and it's not necessarily in alignment with your divine blueprint. So it may work for somebody, but it's because it's aligned with their divine blueprint. but it is not an energetic alignment. And so even those old systems and ways of thinking are going by the wayside. They won't work for somebody who's already let go of those distortions, by the way. They will often not work for monadic twins, for example, because twins know that it's about energetic alignment. And if your energetic alignment is pure consciousness, pure God consciousness, and you're operating in a world where the majority of people quite aren't at that energetic alignment, there's going to be a discrepancy and a mismatch. It doesn't mean that you can't be financially successful in ways that are in the external. It just explains or helps to understand a lot of why in this, and then perhaps I should get into the another aspect of the monadic twin in terms of the signs and indications that you are a monadic twin. Is you may be experiencing these extreme challenges where no matter what you've done, maybe you're struggling with your health in some aspect, maybe you're in crisis like never before, even though you've done everything right, you've done everything that you're supposed to do that should allow you to experience vitality in health. I certainly know some twins who are there. And what if that's part of your journey? What if that's your growth journey to ultimately allow you to ascend in others? Yeah, you can see my notes. You may be having financial struggles, like directly with your business. Oftentimes, it's expanding your idea of what does prosperity look like, what does financial abundance look like, and for many monadic twins, it's being able to move beyond this idea that this is how you're supposed to receive it and being open to the many ways that you're able to receive it. I've been very fortunate on my journey and receiving it in many ways that I originally had blocked because I thought I needed to earn it a certain way. Anyways, let's see. So I said prosperity, health. My health is pretty good, I have to say. I'm very fortunate, but I have seen a lot of twin flames who are struggling with it, despite, again, everything that they've done. And it isn't so much that they need more healing. It isn't so much that they need to love themselves more, because there's a lot of shame sometimes, and I think it's more a lack of understanding if the journey is different, that, oh, okay, they must be doing something right, I must be doing something wrong, because especially if you see other twin flames and they're in physical union, you may be like, well, wait a minute, what am I doing wrong? Or do I need more healing? Like, oh my God, I have more to heal? Like, what more do I need to do? No, 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 no. You've actually probably done so much healing and letting go of your distortion. You're already most likely in inner union, and it's helping to let go and dismantle the distortions on a collective global level. Okay, so the mission is different. The other distinction is that most likely, if you're a monadic twin, you have been in prolonged separation with absolutely no contact from your divine counterpart. Like they've been absolutely silent, or maybe you have even maybe reached a point where you're like, I'm doing my thing. I'm still connected. I know I'm connected, because you're always connected in the fifth dimension, in the astral realm, in the spiritual realm. You're always connected, and monadic twins often know that. And yes, so there's often a prolonged separation. You may get to a point where it's okay. I know what my mission is. You may have an awareness that it's so much bigger, and you're not necessarily attached to an outcome that I will be in divine physical union with my twin flame, and I may not in this lifetime. But most chances are, monadic twins, this is their last lifetime. They have chosen to leave the false matrix, exited at this point in their journey, and chances are you may come into divine physical union with your counterpart. You may have that vision. It's surrendering to if and when that divine timing, the divine unfoldment of your evolutionary growth, because if it happens any sooner, it may not be so harmonious. You will really want to make sure you're balanced within. And again, it may not be what you have chosen on a soul level as part of your blueprint to come into physical union, or it may. There's also the free will that comes into play. Yet if you have had the vision that you have a purpose with your twin flame, that you are coming into physical union. It's again not letting go of that attachment, surrendering to your unique divine blueprint that isn't going to be like anybody else's. I have met so many twin flames who are in union who have judged, shamed those of us who are not, and not intentionally, but like, oh, if you haven't by now, you're not going to. If your twin flame has not come back in, you have no contact, it means you have more work to do, you're not doing it right, you know. And so it's not maybe intentional shame, but there's that layer there, like that you have more healing to do. There's more to do. No, 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 not necessarily. It's because of some of the things I have mentioned earlier. So trust the process, trust the journey. And the surrender is surrendering to your divine blueprint. That's really what surrender is. And you surrender by not comparing yourself with somebody else's journey, especially a twin flame journey, because they're all unique. And I will say it again, all of our journeys are unique. Just like I'm looking at the neighborhood I'm living in right now, all the houses are unique. There's like something special about each one. There's pros and cons perhaps, but they're all unique. And it doesn't necessarily mean on the street that there's one house better than the other one, or a tree that's better than the other one. There's lots of beautiful, now I'm going to the metaphor of the trees, lots of beautiful trees, all different and unique, that add to this beautiful landscape, that add their own level of light, enhancement, beauty, oxygen, life-giving oxygen. All right, let me just see if there's anything else I'd like to share. So I mentioned the process, and it's kind of, there's some overlap. The process with the journey with twin flames is often a very prolonged one, and it's that planetary grid work where twin flames, monadic twin flames, are often sent to different parts of the world to do that planetary grid work, to also help let go of distortions from other lifetimes with their twin flames. I have many lifetimes that I remember with my twin flame. Yes. And I am going to mention this. This has just popped into my head. Many monadic twin flames have also been in the Secret Space program. I'm not sure that I'm going to put that in my detailed description, because I feel like that's part of the reason why I lost my channel before. I was speaking to that a lot. And this is why my sister and I, who's also a twin, monadic twin flame, and we are twins, that we were talking about having a private community so that we can talk more in depth about those kind of experience. We're talking about ritualistic abuse, SSP, and mind control, all those kind of things, because they certainly have some play into understanding your particular journey and the myriad of conditioning and societal, or even the programming, intentional programming, that can certainly interfere with any challenge you're having. And all by design, all by your architectural design, but it's very real. And oftentimes, if people haven't experienced that particular type of journey, or they don't remember it, then there is sometimes some judgment, or sometimes people just don't believe you. So if just letting you know that that's an option that my sister and I are being guided to offer, so that we don't feel so isolated, so alone. You are not alone. You are not in isolation. That's another characteristic of a monadic twins. Oftentimes, they have months and months of solitude and isolation, intentionally so that they can really go inward to let go of those deeper, deeper layers of distortion on a individual level, but as well as a collective level. And many split soul twins come in to work on personal healing within those relationships, and within the relationship or connection with their twin flame, the divine counterpart, in union. So it's just a different path that has been chosen. And again, all paths are important. All journeys lead back, they say, to Rome, but I like to flip the word Rome into, well, in Spanish and Italian, it would be AMOR, amor, in Spanish. So all paths lead back to love, all of them, as long they all do. I'm not going to say as long as, because eventually people find their way back home, even if they've lost their way. They feel like they've lost their soul. Eventually, everybody finds their way back home because we're all in it together. Much, much peace and love, all. I don't think I introduced myself. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Susan Hayes. I am the Spark Activator. I help others who've experienced sexual trauma to alchemize that trauma, shine their truth, embody sacred, I gotta remember it, intimacy, trust, and love. With that said, if you are, I am going to be sharing more information, different angles and aspects of the Monadic Twins, the Split Soul, as well as other videos that are probably largely with that have to do with twin flames, since I'm on that journey. And if you label yourself as being on that journey, you understand that there are many around you who don't know what you're talking about, think you're crazy, think you're obsessed, because they just don't understand the journey. And that's where labels are helpful, by the way, even though ultimately we're letting go of those labels, but we live in the 3D, so it's important. I will be sharing more about that. I will be, yes, and just ways to help bring ease to your journey, to bring ease and to navigate those challenging times, because the challenging times are going to be there. It's part of your spiritual growth. Yet you can have ease within the challenge. And that's what I am doing with this channel, not just by sharing my insight and the transmission and the activation just with what I'm sharing. It's also with very specific tools and techniques that you can use on your own to be empowered and stand in your truth. Again, this is Susan Hayes with Sacred Soul Activations, reigniting your spark within. Much, much peace and love to all of you. What if you're right on course? What if you're on mission? Stay with it. You've got this. I love you. Ciao, ciao for now.